Hi everyone. I'm actually really glad because on the flyer my face is really stretched out, but on there it looks quite normal, so I'm really glad about that. But yeah, so my name's Abby Burton, I'm 23 years old and my profession is being a professional rugby player. I've been professional for the past 6 years, so since I was, well, this was my 16th, so since I was 18 years old, and I went to the Tokyo Olympics where we came fourth, so that's my whole kind of life pretty much, and that kind of came to a bit of a halt in May last year. So take it back to May 2022, I'd just come back from an injury. I'd been trying to get back like on form within the team, and I was just feeling really down and really not myself at all. And a lot of my friends noticed it and kind of put it down to, oh, maybe I think I've got depression. So I went to go and see my team psychologist, and they said, oh, yeah, I think you've got depression, put you on antidepressants. And that was kind of what we just thought it was. We didn't really think anything else of it. I just really wasn't myself at all. Like, I'm very bubbly and outgoing, and I just didn't really want to be around anybody, and that was kind of the start of it. And then, so from May up until about June period, still starting to get worse. And then on the 15th of June, I had my first seizure, sat at the dinner table with my mum at home. When I'm talking about all of this, it just a key thing for me to say that from May until the middle of August last year, I don't have any memory at all. So everything that I'm saying is what my mum and my family and my friends have told me. So my mum's probably better to be up here speaking, but I'm here, so you're going to have to deal with me. But yeah, so on the 15th of June, I had my first seizure, just sat at the dinner table with my mum, and during that time, me and my mum were just talking about rugby. It had been the first tournament that I'd ever not gone to, so I'd just been dropped from the team. So we kind of, like, people just thought it was stress, and that's basically what the doctors and everybody basically said it was, that it was a stress-induced seizure, and that was kind of the end of it. I went to A&E and they sent me home. The following day, had another seizure, sat watching Love Island with one of my brothers, so had another seizure then, and then I had another seizure after that the following day in the middle of the night. Throughout this whole time period, from my first seizure, as I said before, I had kind of this depressive behaviour, and then I just after my first seizure, everything kind of changed. I had this manic, really aggressive behaviour, and I'm not quite small either. Like, I'm built, and the only way that my mum and my dad described it is I just turned into a monster. Like, I'd punched my mum in the face numerous of times trying to get out of the house unclothed. My poor brothers trying to throw clothes over me because they were just trying to keep my decency. But I just turned into fight or flight. Like, I didn't want anybody near me, just literally fighting everybody to get away from me. So when the home treatment team came to come and assess me, they kind of just said, we think she has stress-induced psychosis. We don't think that she's fit to stay at home, so you need to go get her properly assessed at Fieldhead Hospital, which is a psychiatric hospital in Wakefield. From when I was admitted, I basically spent, I think, 3 weeks there, which I don't remember any of it. And during that time, they basically threw out, oh, we think she's got schizophrenia, we think she's got bipolar. I kept having the seizures all the way through. So I kept having absent seizures, I kept having fit-in seizures, I think it's catonic and all of them basically, but they were treating me with antipsychotics, so it wasn't working. Then one day, this miraculous researcher approached my dad in Fieldhead Hospital and basically said, I think what your daughter's got is physical. I don't think she has a mental health condition. Can I take her blood? Can I go send it off to Oxford Experimental Lab? My dad's just pleading with him, yep, take it, go take her blood. Like, literally, we don't care what you do with it, go take it. So yeah, eventually blood got taken, got sent off to Oxford Experimental Lab, and it came back positive with autoimmune NMDA receptor encephalitis. So basically, it's an autoimmune version of encephalitis, and they don't know why I had it, because usually it's formed by ovarian cysts or brain tumours, and I don't have either of them. So I was in the psychiatric hospital, but they still didn't know what to do with me. They didn't know where to move me to or anything. I was kept in there for probably longer than what I should have, until one of the nurses found me having a seizure, and then she called an ambulance and I got sent straight to Pinderfield Hospital, which is just a normal hospital. Originally, I was placed on the incorrect ward, so I was placed on acute assessment ward, even though they knew exactly what was wrong with me, but they didn't know where to put me. They didn't have enough space for me, I believe, on the stroke and neurology unit. They couldn't move me to Leeds, which has a specialist neurology unit, because I was so aggressive. They couldn't move me. During that period, I just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and the behaviour was so much more manic and aggressive. Like I rugby tackled a few of the security guards in Pinderfield Hospital. Like I put a few of the nurses out of like days because I'd just punch them or kick them to try and get them away from me. And what my mum and dad said was that one of the days my mum wasn't there, but they said to my dad, like, how long do you think you can do this for, Danny? Because my dad was the only one who could restrain me. And he said, oh, I don't know. And then they said, oh, we think we're going to have to put her into a coma to be able to manage her. And in my mum and dad's line of work, if you go into a coma, you don't wake up. And that's basically what my dad thought that he was doing. So it's quite a difficult one in that respect. But I forgot the pictures. Oh no, we're not there yet. Never mind. So yeah, I got put into a medical induced coma, and I was in a coma for 3.5 weeks. And during that time, I had pneumonia twice. I kept having the seizures, and it wasn't until I had the treatment immunoglobulin, and then I had rituximab, which is a form of chemotherapy, and that's when my seizures just started to completely stop, I believe. And then originally, they had said originally that I was only going to be asleep for 4 days. Then they woke me up. When I woke up, I thought I'd had a baby. Like, I thought that I was a nurse. Like, it was really, really confusing. But I didn't have any want to ask anybody what was wrong with me. Like, I just thought, yeah, I'm in hospital. I don't really know why. And I just remember the first time that I saw my mum and dad, and we both, all three of us, held hands, and we were just crying. And it's the core memory that I have for when I woke up. And eventually got moved back down to the stroke and neurology unit. I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't feed myself, and I'm a really independent woman. I've lived away from home since I was 16 years old playing rugby, and the fact that I couldn't do any of these things, it was just crazy to me. This is me when I woke up. So when I woke up, I was about 25 kilos lighter than what I am now. I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything. But it was crazy because I couldn't understand what had happened, but I was just like, yeah, I'm just laying here and I'm not really going to do anything, and that was about it. But one of the first things I asked my mum was like, oh, when can I play rugby again? And she said, I'm not sure about that one, Abby. And I said, oh, well, because during this time period was the Commonwealth Games, so I missed my first Commonwealth Games, and the girls had been, and I asked my mum how they did, and she said, oh, right, yeah, that they came 7th. And I went, oh, right, okay, like, when's the World Cup? And she said, oh, it's in 3 weeks. I said, I can definitely do that in 3 weeks. Like, I'll be ready to go in 3 weeks. And my mum's like, oh, maybe not, Abby, maybe not. But yeah, so after I woke up, it was just a progressive journey for me to be able to get back to who I was before. So I woke up on the 9th of August, and then I got discharged on the 31st of August. This is me in my hospital room, just passing a ball with my dad. That's literally all I wanted to do, which was, to the nurses' absolute despise, they would look at me thinking, what is she doing today? What is she actually doing? This is me and my best friends. We're called the Spice Girls. All of my friends play rugby as well, and this was the first time that I'd seen them after I'd woken up from the coma. This is me with my ICU staff. These people were my mum and dad's rocks. I wouldn't probably be alive if it wasn't for them. They are amazing, they are incredible, and honestly, we can't thank them enough for everything that they did for me and my family. And then this is where we kind of are now. So after I came out of hospital, progressively just went through intensive rehab to be able to get back to the stature and the build that I was before, because I wasn't allowed to play rugby at that moment in time because I was at risk of stress fractures. Just when you have autoimmune deficiency, me catching anything was just so high. Like anything that I would do, it just make me poorly straight away. So went through an intensive rehab period and through all the way to the end of December. Fast forward to January this year, they said to me, we need to be able to see if you can cognitively function, you need to be able to go back to university. So I went back to university as well with lots of struggles of not being able to do a lot of things, be tired really easily. But I had my amazing tutor who was brilliant and so patient with me and helped me all the way through. But in January, they said, you've got to have this meeting to see if you'll ever be able to play rugby again. And I had to come to the reality and the fact of I might not ever be able to play again, but am I healthy, am I happy, and my mum and dad happy and healthy, and all my family? Yeah, they are. And if that means I never play again, that means I never play again. But luckily enough, I could play again, which was great. So during that time period, it was just about getting back into being a professional athlete again. And the Great Britain Sevens programme supported me the whole way through. And this is the first game that I played back. This is in Hong Kong. Went over to play in the Hong Kong Tens where we won. It was unbelievable. Like, I just missed it so much. Just felt what it felt like to be an absolute wrecking ball again, which is what I am. And that's my personality. And I absolutely love it. And the fact that I was able to do this after coming off all my medication, I couldn't have done it without the support of everybody that I had around me. Like, I literally would not be here if it wasn't for my mum and for my dad and for my brothers and for my friends and my family and all the staff that helped me along this way. And following on from this, a couple of months later, I made my international return. So I played internationally again this last season. Out in Hamburg, and then I captained the side as well, and it was such an amazing experience to be able to do that again. And where I'm at now is I graduated from university this year with a 2-1 in sport and exercise science. So I finished off that after a long 6 years of doing it part-time, being a professional athlete, and I'd able to go back to full-time work doing coaching, being able to move back down to London where I can really be around the rugby environment, and I'm back in the team, hopefully fighting for a place to go to Paris Olympics next year. And don't get me wrong, I have difficulties every single day, just fatigue. After I do a lot of things, I need a nap, just like little things. And if someone gives me a lot of information in one go, I feel like my brain's just exploding sometimes, which I never felt like before. And I get so frustrated with myself, like really frustrated, that I don't know why I can't do something anymore. But actually, I always remember one of my nurses said to me, she was like, you have to be kind to yourself. And I carry that in every walk of life that I have now, that if I can't be kind to myself, then how can I allow myself to do things, if that makes sense? If I can't help myself, then how can I help other people? So the main thing, I help myself first, and then I can help other people as well. So yeah, that's me.